And again, we're being stonewalled on key information about the most important criminal investigation the Justice Department is undertaking, the Robert Mueller Special Counsel operation. I can guarantee you there are no resources, there's no comparable investigation in the Justice Department that has as many resources devoted to it as the Mueller operation. I think he just hired his 17th prosecutor. 17. Based on what I know, there have been terrorist investigations that have had fewer prosecutors associated with it. And what is he investigating? I don't know. He's not investigating Russia collusion by all accounts. Based on a published report in CNN, he doesn't even want to ask Trump about whether he colluded with Russia. He's asking about whether he was about the firing of Flynn and Comey. I don't know how Mueller can even talk about the firing of Comey, his professional associate. Mueller himself interviewed with President Trump, supposedly, or at least the White House, for the FBI job that became open as a result of Comey's firing. He's obviously conflicted. I mean, news reports are today that President Trump was thinking Mueller was so conflicted he should be fired. And of course, his lawyers got in the way and didn't want to do that, and President Trump, I guess, stood down. But it's what we've been saying. He is conflicted. What's outrageous to me, it's President Trump having to do this. It speaks well of his leadership and acumen that he understands what's at stake and the obvious compromises to the rule of law with having Mueller run that special counsel operation. And it's really shameful that the Justice Department allows Mueller to keep on running. But he's the king of the Justice Department. And that's why they're stalling on the text messages. That's why they're trying to get the House to stall the release of the memo, because Mueller is the king of the Justice Department when it comes to these issues. We asked, under law, for information about his budget, how he's being monitored, and the scope of his investigation. Because Mueller supposedly proposed a budget. This is how much it's going to cost. Don't you think the public has a right to know that? Well, of course, we were stonewalled by this Justice Department. So we sued in federal court for the information. I think we sued earlier this year. And, no, we sued last year. We sued in October. Shows you how patient we are. So Mueller had a budget proposal. And they just told us, they found 7 pages. And they're not going to give us any of that information, because the release of the information would interfere with law enforcement proceedings, and the material is protected from disclosure by the deliberative process privilege. How would it interfere with law enforcement proceedings? I'm sure you can concoct a reason, especially those of you who are lawyers. The deliberative process privilege is completely discretionary. What is the deliberative process privilege? Well, it's probably one of the most widely abused privileges that allow the government to withhold information from the American people. When you make a decision in government, the deliberations prior to the final decision and the documents about that can be withheld oftentimes and protected from disclosure. But there's no requirement they be withheld, because the test is because the release of the information would chill future government deliberations. So how would the release of a proposed budget targeting of an investigation targeting the President of the United States, why would that harm or chill government deliberations? First of all, it's a fact, so I don't even know what's deliberative about it. And even if it is deliberative, because sometimes the courts have ruled some facts are part of the deliberative process privilege, it's completely discretionary. So this Justice Department has made the decision, not required by law, but just a political decision, a tactical decision, to keep this key information about what Mueller's up to away from the American people, namely his budget. And we asked for other information, which I think is interesting, because we wanted a copy of all the guidance memos and communications by which the Justice Management Decision will review his budget. How's he being managed? They've ignored that request. And we wanted a copy of each document about the governance of his operation. Tell us how you're managing him. They completely ignored that request. And this is a Rod Rosenstein special, the number 2 at the Justice Department. So there are a lot of problems in the Justice Department and the FBI when it comes to transparency on this Russia collusion scandal, transparency on the Clinton email scandal and its mishandling and investigations, the mishandling of its investigations. And it's disappointing. And the president, I mean, you can see he wanted to fire Mueller. He knows what to do. So thankfully at Judicial Watch, we're still a free country. We can talk about the Mueller special counsel operation and try to hold it accountable to the rule of law. And I can tell you there's no one else in court with as many lawsuits trying to hold the Mueller operation accountable to the rule of law. No one in the Justice Department wants to do it in an effective way. They're spending all their resources trying to protect it. But Judicial Watch is in federal court, and we're pleased to be able to do the work. And I get excited that we're able to do this work, and thank you for support that allows us to do it. But isn't it outrageous that it's only Judicial Watch in court doing this? We have to sue to get basic budget information about the Mueller operation. We have to sue for text messages that are being disclosed to Congress, and they don't want to disclose it to us under FOIA. Zero interest in doing it. We've been asking for this type of information, some of our cases, since 2015. For instance, we asked for, just recently, I guess we sued last year, on behalf of a supervisory FBI agent, someone who's retired, who knows pretty much where to look and what's important about it in the FBI operations. We asked for information about Andrew McCabe's involvement in the Clinton email scandal, namely his text messages. This is the number 2 I told you about. And the FBI just gave us their final production of information with no text messages from Andrew McCabe. Thoroughly corrupt, dishonest response. There are no text messages of the number 2 official of Andrew McCabe related to the Clinton investigation? Are you kidding me? We told them where to look and they still couldn't find them? This FBI, it's one thing to have these battles over documents that Congress gets into. Where is the oversight over the way the FBI is managed by Congress? Because it's clear, when you look at these text messages between Strzok and Page, there was a culture of corruption at the FBI that was unchecked. Under Mr. Comey, set up, based on what I understand, Mueller really got the ball rolling in terms of the arrogance and corruption at leadership headquarters in the FBI. And Comey came in and, following Mueller's lead, brought in his cronies at the top levels. And it looks like, based on these text messages, they could say or do whatever they wanted. And I guess they all thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. That's why Peter Strzok was worried about investigating her, because they were afraid of payback, because that's what Hillary was known for. But we've got a real ethics crisis at the FBI. And this Justice Department, they're just protecting Mueller.